Hello students, welcome back to our fun max practice day 3. And in today's videos, I'm going to explain a method that is very useful not only in the problems today, but also very useful in your daily life. So now, let's begin our first question here. A spider was sitting on the ceiling. You can see this spider, right? It's very cute, right? Have you ever seen a spider moving up and down? So in some moment, it lowered itself 12 cm down, and then it climbed 7 cm upwards, and in the end, it lowered itself 6 cm down. So what is the distance from the ceiling of the spider? So for this question, I can see some of you can solve it directly, but actually teacher have a better method to do this kind of question, which is what I call the drawing method. So if you're facing a more complicated questions, for example, it requires you to do more steps. For example, like below itself 12 cm down, and again another 5 cm down maybe, and climb up to 6 cm upwards, and becoming more and more complicated. Actually, drawing method will be much more easier to see. So for these questions, it says that a spider was sitting on the ceiling. So here we draw the ceiling here, and then this is the spider. At first, it lowered itself 12 cm down. So we'll draw a straight line here, 12 cm down, and this is 12. And after that, it says that it climbs 7 cm upwards. So from here, it climbs 7 cm upwards. And again, remember to label here 7 cm. And finally, it lowered itself 6 cm down. So 6 cm down here. Alright, so right now, what is the position of the spider from the ceiling round? I mean the length. So it's here, right? The total length is from this part to this part. So what is this number here? So in order to find out this, the whole length, right, we need to know this part, right? So that we can add up this part and the 6 here, we will find out the total length. So here, I will label this part as number 1, and here will be number 2. Actually, you also can see that this part is also same length as this part, right? So how do we find the first part here? Yes, we can use 12 cm here minus 7 cm, and we'll get 5 cm, right? So after we got our 5 cm, we can label it back to the question, to our drawing here. So this is 5 cm, and here is also same as the length before here, which is 5 cm also. So now for the part 2 here, which is the total length of the spider from the ceiling, so we can just add it up together, right? So 5 cm plus 6 cm here, and we'll get 11 cm. Okay, so we also need to write down the answer. Remember to do that. So answer here is the distance of the spider from the ceiling is 11 cm. Alright, so now let's move on to the next question here. So Tim and Tom built a sandcastle, and it decorated it with a flag. So I will draw the sandcastle here and a flag here. It says that they stuck half of the flagpole into the highest point here. Into the highest point. Wait, let me draw the sandcastle again. So here, it says that they stuck half of the flagpole into the highest point, which is this point, right? Which means this part here is actually the same length as this part. So next, the upper tip of the flagpole was 80 cm above the ground. So it says that above the ground, which means we need to label starting from this point, right, until the highest point. So we can label here on the bottom to the top is 80 cm. And next will be the lower tip was 20 cm above the ground. So this is the lower tip here. So this part is actually 20 cm. And how tall was the sandcastle? So this you can definitely see this is the sandcastle, right? So this is what we need to find. So this is what we need to find. So when you face this kind of problem, the best method I can say is to draw out the informations. But for this question, right, you guys already have the picture in the question, so it doesn't need to draw it. But what if you don't have the picture? So you need to draw it up yourself. And back to the question, how do we solve this? Actually, to solve this part, you need to know this part, right? Because we need to add the 20 cm here, and this part will find out the height of this sandcastle. So in order to find out the height of the sandcastle, we need to find out the length of the flag first, right? So the length of the flag, we can just use 80 cm and minus the 20 cm, right? So we know the length of the flag here. So 80 cm minus 20 cm here, we'll get 60 cm. So now we know the length of the flagpole already. But how do we know this part here? And from the question we already know that this part is actually same length with this part, right? So we can just divide them by 2. Yes. So from this part, we can also label here as part 1 and this as part 2. So for part 2, we can just use 60 cm divided by 2, and we'll get this part is 30 cm height, 30 cm tall. So since we have figured out this part, can we find out the height of the sandcastle? Yes. So for the height of the sandcastle here, we'll label it as S. So 20 cm plus the height we found out just now, which is 30, and we'll get the answer is 50 cm. Actually, you can see that there's actually another method to solve this question. How? So you can see we already know the total length from the bottom up to the top, right? And we need to find out this part. So actually we can just use this length and minus this part, we'll get this length as well, right? Yes, let's try it out. So we also find out that the part 1 here is actually same as the part 2. So which is 30 cm again. So another method will be the 80 cm here minus 30 cm, and we'll get 50 cm, which is the same as the answer just now. Also remember to write down the answer here. I'll write down in a very short way, which is 50 cm tall. So now, in summary for today's both questions, I want to emphasize the methods we use is drawing methods. So drawing method is actually very useful for any questions, even in our daily life. At first, we need to obtain the important information from the questions and then we draw it out in the picture. after you have drawn the pictures, right, we need to label the information, the important information like the height, the length, the correct value of the, the picture. And then you definitely can get the calculation very easily. And that's all for today. See you guys next time. Thank you. Bye bye.